This is a story about comics. Comic books have come a long way over the years. They've always been wonderful works of art, but it took the public a while to catch on. We've also seen comics journey from a cheap disposable entertainment to hard-bound, designed with painstaking craft, and back again. And not only does the look of comics range from tiny folding zines with single images to 600-page epics and oversized artist editions, but the subject matter that these stories cover is infinite. Comic books, even American comics, were never just about superheroes, and genre type means less in comics than any other art form. The relationship between words and pictures is the essence of comics, and that is ingrained in the DNA of humanity. Comic books are world culture. From fun fantasy to entertaining education, there is something in comics for every person. In this show, we'll check out the comics that I come across in my own journey to becoming the cartoonist that I want to be. All of the books that you'll see were either purchased directly from the creators or in most cases from local comic shops. So when we find something that interests you, please head to your friendly neighborhood comic shop where small business owners and nice people are ready to help. But there's only one way you're going to find that perfect story.
Read more comics.
Hey everybody, Scott O. Green here. Welcome to episode 1 of Read More Comics. Starting off with a heavy hitter here in Akira Volume 1 by Katsuhiro Otomo. Takes place in a Neo-Japan, kind of post-apocalyptic, or dystopian future of a post-World War III era. In black and white, originally serialized in a magazine. I'm not really sure how the breaks in it occurred, since I'm just kind of reading it in this kind of one volume chunk here. But from 1982 to 1990 is when this was created. I am not familiar with manga at all, so this is kind of a first for me. I've seen some anime here and there. I watched the Akira anime when I was in college. My roommate was a big fan of the movie anyway, but not read the comic. After hearing about it on Cartoonist Kayfabe and the accolades of them talking about it, I went to my drawing group that I go to every week and I said, hey guys, what's the deal with this? Why is it so popular? Why is it still so big after so long? And a lot of people refer to the detail as beautiful, the story is so cool, the motorcycle gangs, the youth culture, all of these things. But what one person kind of said really struck me, and they said that this artist, with the writing of it, the execution, the art, character design, theme, all of that stuff really seemed to be firing on all cylinders. And if perfection isn't possible to actually attain, Katsuhiro Otomo got pretty darn close with this one, in this person's opinion. And after reading, especially this first volume, I have a ways to go to read the whole thing, which I loved it so much I did already buy volume 2. But I'll have to kind of see for myself. But yeah, it holds up. This thing is beautiful. I love every bit of it. I learned a lot as a cartoonist, as just a reader. It was a lot of fun to read. A bit of violence, but nothing too crazy. Just a lot of action. The story is pretty fast-paced. The detail is amazing, and all of that stuff is great. But one thing that really struck me as I was reading it is when Katsuhiro Otomo decides to strip away all of the detail and just kind of leave you with either just like the speed lines or nothing at times, and you're just left to focus on, just this person here on the bike. Like there's not all of the background in every panel, and just those choices where and when they do it just add to kind of a master control of timing. So you go slow when you need to go slow, you read fast when you need to read fast. Just kind of a amazing direction from the artist here. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Now I'm just kind of flipping through it. But you got to see it. Don't order it on Amazon. Best thing to do, go to your local comic shop. Ask them to order it for you. If they don't already have it, chances are they do. It's a popular one, and I think I'm interested in the rest of this series, as well as checking out some more manga after reading this. For someone who doesn't know anything about it, like I said, this is a great place to jump in. All right. Alright, so that's Akira Volume 1. Next up on the docket is one a little closer to home. This is by my partner in crime, David Fleming. He's the other duder behind I'd Rather Be Drawing, which is the website that he and I kind of co-created. And so this is through I'd Rather Be Drawing Publishing, which I think is awesome. Analog Missions, number 1 of 3. The first thing that you see, this is a regular size comic right here. It's Rumble. It's a great comic, but that's a regular size comic. This is Analog Mission, so it's a little bit more compact. I'm told it's a bit more of a manga size, but once again, I don't know a whole lot about that. And even more than that, it's also a bit thicker than a regular comic. And, cool thing, this being volume 1 of 3, he's already in production of volume 2, and this Kickstarter funded really quickly. It was really popular, so 2's already in production, so it's not going to be a 3-year wait that unfortunately you run into with some creators once in a while, where you read one kind of floppy and then you have to wait a couple years to read the next one. But he's already in production on the next one. As you get this, the first thing that really strikes you, besides just the size, is it feels like a substantial, cool thing. It feels like it's a floppy. It's not a hardcover, but it feels like a cool find. It feels like a neat book. And the design of it is striking. I love this guy on the back here and how he did all this. And layout kind of reminds me a bit Jonathan Hickman from like East of West and different Marvel titles and everything, but kind of the cool prose intro. I love this kind of graphic with the VHS player here. The Be Kind, Please Rewind, all historical tapes. Also thought this was pretty awesome. The thanks list was right up front and center. David's always pretty apt to thank his fans and treat his fans real well, so he made sure to get that front and center on the book, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, he's created this whole world here. It's kind of I don't know exactly, you're learning bits about what's going on as you go. He doesn't give you to you all at once, and he doesn't force feed it down your throat, but there's bits of culture. It's these samurai robotic beings. You know, you're not sure if they're humans underneath. You're not sure if they're humans at all. You're not sure if it's an alien race like Transformers or something like that. He keeps you in the dark, but gives you enough information, shows you a little bit enough about like the military and the culture that you know what's going on, and you keep kind of going back. It's kind of presented in this like little micro-epic fashion, yeah, that I think is pretty rad. Like I said, it doesn't force all of these other languages and different world stuff down your throat, but you definitely get the idea of culture and hierarchy and different things like that. Plus, I think he does some pretty cool cartooning things in here, some cool techniques with paneling, and then when he decides to go away from the panel. So yeah, it's presenting this other world thing, and it's like, are we on another planet? Is it a Planet of the Apes type feel, which I do know David's a fan of Planet of the Apes. And as you read this, you do get a feeling for a kind of East meets West culture. You know, they have like these tracksuits and stuff like that, and these clothed kind of robot things, but then they'll have samurai swords and bow staffs and different things like that. Once again, these chapter breaks I think are really cool. My bookmark I got for helping support the Kickstarter right there. I'd Rather Be Drawing logo. You gotta love it. But yeah, a lot of cool dualistic, you know, from God to man, birth, death, to like the robotic, humanistic, the mechanical and the organic, all of these things, you know, the metal and the clothing, a real dualistic nature thing going on in this, that I believe he's kind of exploring through all these people, through all these beings. Once again, we're still kind of learning everything about it, and I'm certainly not going to spoil it for you. But definitely a post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, epic sort of thing, with a samurai twist, kind of wandering, not exactly loner, but I don't know. You got to check it out. I love it. The pages are cool too. They're like this thicker cardstock, and like the front is a bit of a matte finish, and then these are a matte finish, so the black and white and the grays and everything and the zipitones that he's using just really stand out on this, and it really is a joy to look at, honestly. There's a lot of good stuff in it. I highly recommend it. On this one, unless you're in the Kansas City area, which if you are, head to your local comic shops, because there's a good chance this is on the shelf, because dude's been hustling to get this thing out there. If you're not in that area, you can still support him. Best way to do is check out the link below. Buy it right from the artist. If you can't get it at your comic shop, most likely the artist has a website where you can get it from. And in this case, David definitely does. David definitely does. Say that 3 times fast, right? So yeah, I love the book, David. Congratulations. I think it's awesome. I can't wait for volume 2. I highly recommend this. Anybody who enjoys sci-fi stuff, robots, sword fighting, military stuff, independent comics. It's got a lot of goods in it. It's got a lot of goods. And I chose this one as a kind of wrap up here. I'm going to read through this marching orders or read more comics. So I'm going to sit down to read this guy. But it struck me as I found this, getting ready for this show, that this is kind of a gap, a bridge between Akira and David's work. Where David's work definitely feels influenced by manga, if not directly from Akira. You kind of see a tie. Once again, this like East meets West, in New York City, but ninjas and turtles and everything kind of good in the world. There's black and white cartooning art that isn't as like fully rendered as you might think. A Ninja Turtle, such a main title thing that now would have the same quality as X-Men books and Superman books and that fine polish and everything, but this still has that like cartoonist quality, that printed in the Sunday paper almost sort of thing going on, and it's really kind of a joy to look at this and see those parallels drawn between Eastern and Western stuff, and see people like David who are obviously influenced by manga and by Ninja Turtles, as we all are, and fun for me. I've been a fan of Ninja Turtles since I was a little kid, watching the first movies and those first cartoons and everything. Didn't even know about the comics when I was a little kid. So getting to look back at these as a fan of comic books and cartooning is a lot of fun. So can't wait to dig into that. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but the Leonardo, I guess they each got their own sort of spin-off one-shot. So now the collector in me is going to have to go find all of the other ones, maybe feature them on this show. But that's it for episode 1 of Read More Comics. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you're excited to go. If not, check out these comics like them. Once again, let's see here. We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Leonardo one-shot. We got Akira Volume 1. And we've got Analog Missions Volume 1 of 3. Check them out. Support artists, support comics shops. Love you. See you next week on New Comic Book Day, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, your comic book shop gets new comics in. Go check it out. Go! If you don't know already, Cartoonist Kayfabe is a huge inspiration behind this show. After all, it is the marching orders set forth by Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor, along with Tom Scioli, that gave rise to this segment in the first place. Cartoonist Kayfabe on YouTube is essential for comic book readers and aspiring cartoonists alike. It's the comic book show that the creators are watching. Anyhow, thank you Professors Piskor, Rugg, and Scioli. The education is appreciated. Find Cartoonist Kayfabe's link below.